Are you creating a custom comprehensive compliance program for your cannabis business but don't know where to start? Well, I'm glad you're here. If you don't know me already, hey, I'm Bree. I'm the owner of RMCC, where we specialize in implementing custom comprehensive compliance programs into any cannabis business in less than 4 months. So let's dive right on into it. First, we need to know what we are and are not working with. So, what is a compliance program and what is not a compliance program? A compliance program is an internal framework to protect the business from violating any local, state, or federal law. The framework may consist of written policies and procedures, regulatory tracking and updates, record keeping and documentation, employee training and education, internal audits and monitoring, quality control and testing, security and risk management, incident reporting and response, which is all managed through a compliance officer, a compliance team, or externally through legal and regulatory support through outside counsel or consultation. A mouthful, right? Which is why this is so imperative to structure your business to not burn out your compliance position. But more on that later in this video. Your compliance position or department will overlap with daily operations, but building a compliance program is not your operations team's responsibility to design this program. In reality, you should feel the tension between compliance and operations. This is because daily operations is always trying to push the boundary to become more efficient and more profitable. And the compliance position should help pull the operations team back to find a sweet spot to operate efficiently while staying within your state's rules and regulations. And yes, in the beginning, you may receive resistance from operations on how to operate compliantly. However, if you're able to present data-driven results to bring more efficiency while staying compliant, you will have more buy-in from your team. So here's an example. Let's say your business does not have a second verification checkpoint before creating and shipping out shipments to a destination license. And you look and you see about 15 to 20% of your shipments are being returned. So that's about 1 out of every 5 shipments is getting returned due to inaccurate shipping manifests and the details that are involved here. So as a compliance officer, what I would do is to calculate the number of labor hours it takes to not only create the manifest in the shipment, but also to communicate with the destination license if there's any discrepancies in the shipment. Third is fixing the inventory with the manifest and all of the details within that shipment, and remanifesting that shipment back. More than likely, correcting this original issue took your business 2 to 3 times in labor hours just to re-correct and re-ship the manifest, that if you did have a second verification checkpoint before shipping out that manifest and identified those issues ahead of time, then none of this would have gone down. So me as a compliance officer, I would calculate, okay, it took my team, let's say, an hour and a half to be able to do all of these elements, get all the paperwork, create the manifest, verify the accuracy. And then when it comes back as a incorrect transfer, in reality, it took my team 3 hours to 4.5 hours just to correct this issue and remanifest it. So that is how I would make more data-driven decisions, to request that the operations team has an additional checkpoint upon creating their shipments and finding these mistakes before they become a problem and compound later on into the supply chain. All right, now that we are clear on what are the elements that encompass a compliance program, let's break down the topics every compliance program needs to cover. Your compliance program may include licensing and permitting, the regulatory compliance, employment practices, security and surveillance, record keeping and reporting, quality assurance and testing, financial compliance, privacy and data protection, health and safety regulations, community and enforcement compliance. Is your head spinning yet? I'd be surprised if it wasn't. It's a lot to have all of these different elements, from record keeping, training, auditing, and maintaining accurate information with all of these different types of topics in a compliance program. So by this time, you could be thinking, I don't have enough time in the day for all of this. So let's unpack how to build a team and retain your talent to help have the resources to build a custom, comprehensive compliance program in your cannabis business. Look, as a business owner, if you just hired a compliance officer, this does not mean they are the only person responsible for everything we have covered so far in this very short video. Especially if you don't have any of these resources or this framework developed, and you're expecting your compliance officer to build your program from the ground up, I promise you, this will only lead to burnout and high employee turnover in your compliance position. On average, compliance officers only stay within a cannabis business for about 9 months, especially when they're entering a cannabis business with no compliance framework at all. I understand that some businesses are unfortunately in this situation, which is why, depending on your business size, you should hire not only a compliance officer, but also one additional support person to help support your compliance position. If you need some help on how to structure your compliance operations and inventory team, then click the link below to register for my live webinar on how to implement a comprehensive compliance program in less than 4 months. Within the 1-hour masterclass, I unpack different team structures for small, medium, and large cannabis businesses. When determining how to structure your compliance program development and responsibilities, you can look at this a few different ways. So let's break them down. The first option, which is what I recommend, is to break the topics down by responsibility, such as licensing with technical writing and market expansion versus internal auditing and identifying training opportunities versus facility compliance with maintaining business records and creating training programs. For the type of structure within your business and what the positions might look like to encompass all of these elements, you might have a licensing manager, you might have an internal auditor, and a compliance manager. So all of these 3 different positions would cover all of these different types of elements when starting to build your framework. And of course, this will be dependent on your business, your state of operations, and overall business goals for expansion. Another option is to assign responsibilities based on topics such as licensing, permitting, and regulatory compliance versus employment and HR versus facility security and surveillance versus quality assurance and testing. And again, those would all be 4 different types of positions within your business. Essentially, the manager or the leadership position in each one of these areas is responsible for not only maintaining compliance, however, also creating all of the elements that encompass a comprehensive compliance program. This is a more challenging structure because there is no internal checks and balances, and you're asking leadership to not only operate the business, but to also create a framework with training and oversight. So it's really up to you on how you want to develop and create this framework. But the big takeaway here is don't expect your compliance officer to build out a compliance program, build out an auditing infrastructure, train your team, do licensing for new market expansion, and expect them to know the ins and outs of all of your facilities so that way they are staying in compliance. I promise you, this will lead to burnout. And the secret to building a cannabis compliance program without investing thousands of dollars is you don't need any fancy software or a large team to create your compliance program. In reality, all a compliance program is identifying the rules and regulations at the federal, state, and local levels and establishing internal procedures with the internal oversight and training to have confidence your team is staying within the rules and regulations. And you can accomplish this through 4 very simple steps. First, map. Complete a comprehensive self-aptitude test in team operational mapping to determine your current team structure and compliance knowledge. Next is organize. Determine the areas of high, medium, and low risk with an organized roadmap to maximize compliance operations efficiency. Next is develop. Begin developing your playbook and training plan to implement your structured framework, ultimately decreasing employee turnover. And then finally is to evaluate. Implement consistent oversight of compliance, operations, and revenue key performance indicators, or KPIs, to achieve operational success. And guess what? What if I told you these 4 steps to build your custom compliance program is already built out for you? So if you're looking for a mentor and a program that speaks directly to your needs right now to get your time back and stop losing your sanity over a chaotic operation, then click the button below to learn more about my online business accelerator, the Compliance Operations Certification Program. Upon entering the program, you literally have 70% of your auditing framework done for you, something that took me years to perfect and thousands of hours in development. You have right at your fingertips within hours of entering the program. The Compliance Operations Certification Program is a custom program where I help support, develop, and audit your compliance program with you. So click the link below to learn more, and I hope to see you on the other side.